sannyasi in disguise, so he got one wife more. That was a result of the first attempt. The second, attempt, he was walking around begging humbly, please, can you give me a donation? The king, Jarasandha was just laughing. It was the sannyasi standing in front of the door, he said, can you give me a donation? Just the sound of the voice was like, Jarasandha just laughed. He said, something wrong here. Never had such a beggar here. He said, heavy voice, heavy body, and besides that you have a print of a bohi on your shoulders, around all the time. Who do you want to cheat? He was a kshatriya, so he grew up amongst us. He said, what do you want? Besides that blue one, I know from somewhere. You know, be a Krishna, So don't try to cheat me like this. But since you came begging, what can I do for you? You humbled yourself like this. He said, we have only one desire, to kill you. He said, great, let's get into it. So this is a very simple exchange, which very easily happens amongst kshatriyas like that. So there's a certain level of communication, there's a certain level of contact that they're not going to change. But it is to be all governed ultimately by spiritual authority. So in the Vedic times, this level of communications are not so complicated. There were still problems, but they were not so complicated because there was a given social field divided. Everybody knew to whom relate, whom to be friends with, who to listen from, who to instruct. In Kali Yuga it's all finished, it's all confused. Shudras are on the top, mumbling all the time. The people who have somewhat Brahmanical inclinations, they are desperate because nobody listens to them. They cannot teach. If you really don't allow Brahmana to teach, he grows very desperate. He goes in some cave and he will meditate and wait until the madness is over. So this is typical Brahmanical response. Sometimes Brahmanas look even as being negligent. But it's only because they don't see any way to get to that stupidity. So what can you do? Then they collect Brahmana communities and they make fire sacrifice, to please the higher forces to eliminate these idiots, Naimasharaya was a little bit like that, They saw this Kali Yuga arriving. So, make some sacrifice because what else you can do? So you can. Myself, Lord Chaitanya, you can go out and face the madness, but it's only by His mercy we can do that. Otherwise, one should never underestimate the power of stupidity. It's immense. It's divine. Krishna can make people so geniusly stupid that you can do nothing about it. No, be like this guy with this little thing like here. Heil! 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 And they march and they get killed in a massive way. You can do nothing about it. You can just go, okay, let's wait. Fortunately, these things always have its end. So there is a momentum where Brahmana retreat. And he's desperate. He's not a happy Brahmana because he cannot teach. And if you don't allow a Kshatriya to protect and organize, he will become even worse. He actually becomes a Nazi, An agitated Kshatriya is a Nazi. He will start to impose his strength even in an inappropriate way because it's not regulated. He cannot apply it in a regulated way. The Kshatriya has to be always checked by a Brahmana, otherwise you got a Nazi there. And then, a Vaishya, well, if you don't control him, he can rage around and bribe everybody and the whole thing becomes like a real mafia. Just collecting massive money for no reason, just piling up the money, because that's what Vaishya loves to do. And Shudra, he just goes on the street and smash something, that's all. That's communism. The communism are really good of making a revolution, tearing something apart and demolishing something. And they sit there in this debris and wonder, well, what's next? Now it's all people's property, all that smashed stuff. So we are all one, comrade here, comrade there, comrade. We are not one with the imperialists. That we are not one with. But otherwise we are all one. So comrade here, comrade there. How can you please comrade? We are one happiness, isn't it? You know, I think we should lower the price of beer. That was one thing in communism. I grew up partially in that system. There was two holy things you could never touch. And that's meat and beer. These two things. They never got more expensive. They were actually quite freely available. You know, because that's like the sustenance of life. You know, meat and beer. You don't touch that. And then, of course, very quickly it was double system. You know, the leaders, they were living at the end like the monarchy. You know, they just had the palaces and, you know, and just palace Mr. Honecker, the last, you know, monarch of the East Germany, you know, had. When finally they opened the thing, because he was so in illusion that he didn't know the communism is finished. He said, no, it cannot be finished, because we are winning the war against imperialists. And they told him, you know, there's people in front of your door, they want you to leave. And he said, they cannot want me to leave, because I'm in charge. They said, but you are not in charge. It was such an illusion that actually the secretaries of Mr. Honecker kept them in that illusion just to keep their posts. So it became a completely illusory thing. They flattered him and they even painted the houses where he was going shopping, just the front sides. You know, so he was thinking, look, we are improving. It's a wonderful city here. You know, but only there where they drove him shopping. You know, and then behind the backyards were completely finished. You know, and then just the library of pornographic movies of Mr. Honecker was so huge, it accompanied one big portion of the whole palace. You know, they had their own cinemas, they had their own thing, they had their own world. That's how illusion can be driven to the max. You're completely disconnected from the very same ideals you started with. We should be careful that we don't reproduce it in the name of spiritual life. It can easily happen. As one atheist said, watch out for religions. They are selling an item you cannot even see. It's invisible. And as he even said, they can't even prove it. You have to believe it. It's not like you go in a shopping center and they tell you, they are selling a soap here. But it doesn't exist. It's not on a shelf, the shelves are empty. But believe me, it's coming. And people give money. That's what the church end up doing. You simply pay for empty promises of heaven, you know, which is not obviously happening. People are still miserable and they ask the same question. Why do I suffer? Where do I come from? Believe. And then pay. You pay for a belief. That's actually not our process. Prabhupada said, no. We can make you happy now. You can feel it right now, and you can see it right now. And Prabhupada proudly pointed to his disciples. He said, this is my proof. Look at these people. A few weeks ago, they were just running around completely confused and stoned. Now they are happily dancing, and they talk, and they preach, and they do things. That's a practical improvement. Therefore, there is no division between talking and doing in Krishna consciousness. Ideally, it should be on the same line. That's called sannyas. Sannyas means one line. Thinking, talking, acting. And then comes the most difficult part, the desiring. There's only one line, Krishna. Not like talking Krishna and desiring this. You know, thinking this, talking that. Speaking this and thinking something else. You know. But that's actually the real definition of sannyas. It doesn't matter what color the cloth is. This is a question of consciousness. So when you think strictly about this, what a challenge. What a challenge. We can be happy that in Kali Yuga our mental activities are not accounted for. We can be lucky, otherwise we will be finished. You know that story of that yogi, what was this thing, whose wife was going to the river to fetch water for the sacrifice and she saw some demigod sporting.
Parashura.
Huh?
Parashura.
Yeah, I guess, Parashura. Huh? No, so he was the son, Parashurama's son. The name of the yogi?
Yamagata.
Huh?
Yamagata.
I. And it was in principle right, but the Kali Yuga was starting arriving, and it was actually an offense to his wife that just because she liked some demigod sporting, which was actually considered unchaste, she was actually sentenced to death by him. But it's a lila, We know how it ended up by the blessing. Everybody came alive again. So, and he also got some reaction for that. He was overdone a little bit with his administering, of the Dharma. It was a little bit overdone. But we are happy. We don't have to be killed for our mental activities. Otherwise we will not be even sitting here. We will be executed right away. Therefore Kali Yuga is such a merciful age because, you think like a demon, but you act like a devotee, so, Vaishnava. One devotee completely upset, ran towards Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I was just thinking how to slap you in the face. What a thought! Prabhupada just smiled. He said, it's okay, it's just a mind. Oh, thank you. Like especially in Prabhupada's presence, even your thought became like, the thoughts were like monsters, Because when you are close to somebody so pure, you become very exposed. So therefore some people had to leave Prabhupada, because they couldn't take this anymore. It's like being constantly under X-ray, being constantly screened. That was intolerable. They had to go. They said, no, Prabhupada, I'm so sick, I cannot do this. And Prabhupada was always, that's a beautiful thing when you were in Prabhupada, you knew exactly that he knows. He can look into your heart, he can look into your mind. It was scary, but simultaneously most fascinating. And Prabhupada was so encouraging. He was like, we know there's a little demon inside, but now you are engaged in devotional service, it will be all right. And it was so encouraging, that even a demon like me can, as one of my Gopalas those days said, even by offering incense, I cannot believe it. I have the right to offer incense to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is me to offer anything? Just a simple incense, right? So he said, who is me? But by mercy of Prabhupada, you can have actually the right to stand here and offer something directly to God. Of course we know we offer it through Srila Prabhupada and through our spiritual master. But that excess, it's not granted. Not granted normally. It doesn't happen, okay? Krishna doesn't accept any offering like this. You can offer whatever you want, but all the Hindus can offer day and night, okay, fine. All the Christians can offer day and night, fine. But Krishna doesn't accept. It's as simple as that. And the proof is that they don't move anywhere, you don't see any improvement really. But by Prabhupada's mercy, even the simplest offering can find its effect. That's amazing. In Kali Yuga, with our demons, in the heart, like this is, how is this possible? So when devotee realize that impact of mercy and that amazing opportunity, then the ultimate gratitude manifests. Gratitude ultimately can be managed only by knowledge. Can be arrived by knowledge. Sentimental gratitude is very temporary, flickering, but the deep gratitude based on knowledge, this is what keeps us going in Krishna consciousness. In other words, one feels obliged. Not to the public in general, we are not obliged to make people happy, who knows what. But this one lady on Sankirtan, she said, yesterday I bought a book from you. I have no money now. I want to drink some coffee. Can you give me something? I said, no. What is this? Yesterday I gave her this. You wouldn't do anything for me. I said, no, please, it's an invitation to the temple. You can come and have a whole Sunday feast for free. But not this. Okay? No. I remember that woman was so upset. She was just foaming when she walked out. She said, welcome to Hare Krishna. I gave them something yesterday. When I need something, they wouldn't give one thing. No, they won't. grihasthas, especially when you have children, you get so compromised. Because they are perfect, it's an extortion on the sweetest level. Papa, I want this, Papa this, and Papa that. And the Papa will go, and then you serve, and at the end you know what you get? That much you get. It's a universal experience by all parents. Doesn't matter how nice the children are or not, every parent will come to the point. He goes, what? This I solved! And now it's just... And that's perfectly arranged by the material energy. So you get detached from a certain point. You must. If you're not American, there's a footage of one American getting very upset with his daughter because he bought her computer and she used the computer to slander him all over the internet. There's a certain age, girls go out and they write, because internet is such a, you can spray it all out, and she writes, my parents are too much, they are so off, they are restricting me on, what do they think they are? And it's Facebook and this and that, and so the result, because the father was an American, and he collected all the blessings from his wife actually to do so, he confiscated the laptop of his daughter, put himself also on the internet, with a nice camera, put the laptop in a garden, and the American way to express your discomfort is to pull the gun out. So he had his 9mm Magnum, and he said, each bullet cost $1.50. It's very expensive ammunition. But that's the last expense I'm ready to give for my daughter by shooting this laptop to pieces. And the camera goes and 9mm, the laptop goes bling! So he shoots the laptop to pieces and he posts it on the internet as a message for his daughter. He said, from now on, you will have to work for your laptop. Get a job. But that's, of course, a very ruthless way to do that, but it corresponds with the American mentality. Americans always like some problem, the gun comes out. To eliminate problem, or shoot it to pieces. But I'm just quoting it because these kind of frustrations arise when you try to please people on a material platform. It never works. First of all, it's never enough because the senses can never be satisfied. But there is always a lacking, always lacking. Srila Prabhupada was asked for money on his deathbed when he was dying by his own children. It was never enough. And he worked, the majority of his life, he worked hard to maintain his family. It was never enough. It was never good enough. When he was going, rascal sons. That was one of his last statements before he died. But he still tried. It's a human thing, try to be responsible, but in a very limited way. He made Ramakrishna Maharaj in charge to deal with his relatives. And there, Ramakrishna Maharaj didn't have that problem, really, at all, to be very little emotional with them. And Prabhupada encouraged him. Give them a contract, they should sign like this, and only this, not that. I know this crop. You give them more money, they will spend it immediately. So no. Just this, nothing more. And for limited time. And check them what they do with that. If they misappropriate the whole thing, nothing is done. Like we know Prabhupada arranged that they could get even a flat in Calcutta. But not inheriting. No. Just for their lifetime. And it's finished when they die. Things like that. In a controlled way. That's was his choice, to do so. Actually, Prabhupada quotes the commentator of Bhagavad Gita. I think so, yeah. He goes, what do you think? I'm giving now some money to my relatives, of course I'm sannyasi, it doesn't look very good, but I think Baladev Vidyabhushana would approve. Well, when you are counseling, when you have a Baladev Vidyabhushana as your counselor, then you can give some money to your relatives. Yeah. That's not to be copied. Otherwise Prabhupada was very strict. On devotees, on everybody. Because it's Krishna's property, it has to be protected. So this is how we actually can distinguish if something is material or spiritual. For material, altruistic type of assistance, we get only ungratefulness. That's the proof it was the only place. Yeah? Whereby if you really invest spiritually into a devotee who will, and the proof that he's a devotee, he will recognize he is somebody trying to help me really on a spiritual platform. Thank you very much. It's very inspiring. The Prabhupada said, no, I don't have any family. This is my family. These devotees who were serving him in full, with gratefulness, Prabhupada, you saved us. So that's the real help, and that's the real way to make people happy. Okay. Some comments?
Yeah, I'm just talking about someone, Krishna Maharaj, and I'm saying that both you and I, we read the letters of Prabhupada, and I found it's amazing that it's in 69, and Samadhi thing joined in 68. He's quite new at this time.
Yeah.
And but already he's a top man in ISKCON. Prabhupada writes again, some devotees, you write to Tamal, he'll solve that problem. You ask Tamal, he will. He can supply main, he can apply.
There was obviously some connection from a previous life.
Yeah.
I know from Subhadra Swami, that's the only reference I have, how a very particular, very controversial sannyasa in ISKCON joined. He was just a spaced out hippie boy who followed the other devotees as they went to the airport to welcome Prabhupada. So he was going, oh, some Swami is coming this morning. And the hippies said, oh, so Swami coming, that's really, And then they held flowers in their hand, because it was very customary in those days to exchange flowers. And they were waiting there, and Prabhupada arrived. It was Chicago. I think so. And big reception there, and devotees chanting in the airport. Prabhupada entered the crowd and they garlanded with him huge garlands, and Prabhupada went right towards the crowd, and he took a right turn, went through the crowd of the hippies. It was half hippies, half devotees, it was all the same those days. He just went through this. And the devotees were like, he has to go to the toilet? Where's he going? Prabhupada just went through the people. And there was this boy standing over the end. John! And so the Swami coming to him suddenly, Prabhupada came to him, look at him, and he said, where were you, Rascal? I was waiting for you so long. And the boy was going, Jai Prabhupada. He joined immediately.
Who was that?
Our Guru Kripa Maharaj. And what an input he made into the movement. Prabhupada never asked him how he made the money. Very difficult question. In one lecture, Prabhupada says, and I have a new clock now on the table which shows all the times in the whole world. It was donated to me by Guru Kripa Maharaj. You can hear the devotees in the back, laughing, Guru Kripa gave Prabhupada a clock, because they knew it was stolen, guaranteed. We don't want to discuss the pastime of Guru Kripa Swami. But without him you wouldn't see Vrindavan and you wouldn't see much of Mayapur in the early days. His regular donation was $500,000 a year, $1 million a year. Prabhupada didn't ask much for that money from when devotees reported him, you know what he's doing? You know how he gets the money? Prabhupada said, no, that's not very good. He should not do that actually. But he gives all the money to me. And he did. And he was immediately backed away. Okay. Prabhupada took personally that kind of responsibility. Interesting thing is that in Prabhupada's presence it worked out. Even there was complaints from Japan and being exported from the airplane with handcuffs and stuff like this. Having a special kurta, like you have this kind of jacket, this Indian thing, he was very practically opening, and there was all watches inside. And when he preached to the Indian live members, they could select one, Rolex or whatever, and pay a good price for that. You know, it's like, oof, yeah, I heard stories, so that's how my sister tell me stuff. So I wasn't there, so I cannot confirm that really. I just know that when Prabhupada was here, it did work out. And he was absent. He didn't. He was in 5 years jail in Amsterdam. Something like that. For certain suitcases, certain intoxicating substances being caught in the customs. And it's not like he took it. He said, there's another way to make good money. No. Krishna said, that's enough. So he had to spend 5 years in jail to, something like that, I know, to sober up a little bit from the idea, no. It's not just a question of getting money for Krishna, it's a question also how to get it. And Prabhupada gave exactly guidelines for that. It's book distribution, preaching, prasadam distribution. Simple stuff. That's all income. Stay clean on that. So, and we saw in the past, I mean, you have to get off that track. No book distribution, no prasadam distribution, and no direct preaching. And you get the money elsewhere, in some artificial means, it doesn't matter. It will be taken away. Poof, it will disappear. That's practical. But the service rendered, Prabhupada, when he recognized this is a service, it was a service. We were only functioning because we were recognized by Prabhupada. Otherwise, our activity sometimes and all that we did, and this was very weird. But because it was recognized by Prabhupada, it was automatically accepted by Krishna. And that's how we spiritually strived, and we strive until today. Nothing changed in this regard. So it's very simple. Is it recognized by Prabhupada or not? If not, keep on talking, keep on babbling. It will all disappear. As simple as that. You can fill the whole internet with your babble. If it's not recognized by Prabhupada as being of substantial use and importance, it will just remain. This I was just a few days ago, just quite unusual experience for me. I was sitting down, which normally I don't do much. I only just collapse or go. But I sit down at a lake. I didn't do it for years. I mean, I was completely nervous. I was sitting in a park in a lake. It was a very unusual feeling, I have to say. And then suddenly all bunch of ducks descended on the lake. Ducks, you know. They just go, and they go, and they splash the water, and they go, and I was going, Facebook. They have their own Facebook. They go, that's what internet is essentially mostly about. Just and then what? And then I swim around, you know. Actually nothing happened. It's noise. So without being blessed by Prabhupada, it's just noise. That's all.
It's just what?
Noise. Same level when your door is squeaking. It's the same contribution to preaching. The door is preaching. Sorry, we can be very unpolite, some people call it offensive, but it's just, you learn in Krishna consciousness, you know, you don't activate the brain because there's nothing for the brain. So some used to call it village talk. You know, village people, women